Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're taking a deep plunge into the fascinating world of packaging.
It's a huge topic.
It really is. We're looking specifically at the global packaging market outlook, and we're pulling insights from a pretty comprehensive report. It spans from 2021 right through projections to 2033.
A lot of data to sift through.
Exactly. So our mission for you today is to cut through all that data, really extract the most important nuggets of knowledge. We want to look at regional growth, some surprising emerging opportunities, and those crucial long-term market trajectories in this, well, constantly evolving industry.
Always changing.
Okay, let's unpack this. So starting globally, the big picture. The packaging market was already a powerhouse back in 2021. We're talking nearly $1 trillion in revenue. $993 billion to be
Oh,
precise.
it's a trillion, yeah.
Just 4 years later, by 2025, it's projected to hit over $1.1 trillion. But here's the real kicker. By 2033, that number is expected to swell significantly, over $1.6 trillion.
Well,
We're talking about a consistent compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of over 4%, specifically 4.21%. That's, really robust expansion.
what's fascinating here is that steady growth. It says so much about how absolutely critical packaging still is. It touches almost every part of the modern economy.
Right.
It's fundamental for supply chain efficiency, obviously. It's a powerful tool for branding, making products stand out. And increasingly, it's a huge piece of the whole global sustainability conversation.
So it's not just a box.
Not at all. It's an economic engine. It's crucial for how goods move, how they're perceived, even how we end up consuming them.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Because that huge global number, it actually hides some incredibly dynamic regional stories.
Definitely.
To really understand the landscape, let's maybe start with Asia Pacific,
Mm.
APAC. It seems like it's leading the charge in global expansion. What's driving that, and which countries are really standing out?
Absolutely. APAC is, well, it's experiencing dynamic, almost explosive growth in some areas. The region's overall market was already over $380 billion back in 2021.
Yeah.
And it's projected to soar to nearly $675 billion by 2033. That gives it a PGR significantly higher than the global average, around 4.8%.
Higher than the 4.2% globally.
Exactly. And this growth, it's fueled by, massive demographic dividend, rapid urbanization, and just an explosion in e-commerce across the continent.
Makes sense.
Within APAC, China is the undeniable leader. It's on track to nearly double its market from 2021 levels. We're looking at approaching $200 billion by 2033. That's a strong CGR of over 5%.
Over 5%. Impressive.
But if you want to talk about really aggressive growth, look at India. It's expected to leap from under $60 billion in 2021 to over $110 billion by 2033.
Doubling.
Pretty much doubling. It boasts the highest EGR in the entire region, over 5.5%. Just think about what that means, a market doubling in size in just over a decade. It signals a profound shift in consumer behavior, industrialization.
Huge shifts.
Yeah. Then you've got countries like Japan and South Korea. They're consistent, substantial players. Japan hitting about $111 billion by 2033. South Korea around $59 billion.
Yeah.
Solid growth there, too.
Yeah.
And Singapore is another standout. It's projected to nearly double its market size as well, from about $8 billion to over $15 billion, with a strong CDR around 5.3%.
So lots of action across the board there.
Definitely. And we're also seeing solid, steady growth across Australia, Southeast Asia, and Taiwan, too. It's a real powerhouse region.
Right, a powerhouse in terms of sheer scale, and that rapid expansion gives us a good picture of where the sort of momentum is strongest. But let's pivot now, moving from that dynamic landscape.
Yeah.
How do the numbers look in Europe? It's a more established market, right? Are we seeing slower, more incremental growth, or are there pockets of surprising innovation?
Europe's still a very significant player, no doubt. Its packaging market was around $287 billion in 2021.
Still huge.
Oh, yeah. And it's projected to reach over $450 billion by 2033. That's a solid CGR of nearly 3.9%. A bit lower than APAC, but strong.
Reflecting that maturity, maybe.
Exactly. It reflects a mature market adapting to new demands. Things like sustainability regulations, which are often quite advanced in Europe, and sophisticated consumer preferences play a big role.
Okay. And within Europe?
Germany is truly robust. It's actually showing the highest regional CAGR at 4.6%. It's set to grow from around $55 billion to nearly $93 billion by 2033.
Higher than the European average, then?
Yeah, significantly. It often speaks to its strong industrial base that focus on high-value manufacturing. The UK is also on a strong upward trajectory, growing from $46 billion to over $75 billion. France and Italy show solid growth too, around 3.3% to 3.5% CAGR.
Okay.
Spain and Sweden both show promising trends as well, with KGRs over 4%. Spain around 4.2%, Sweden just over 4%.
Interesting.
Yeah. In contrast, Russia's trajectory looks somewhat slower compared to its European neighbors, about 2.7% CGGR projected, maybe reflecting broader economic factors or different market dynamics there.
Right.
And we also see steady, reliable growth across other important markets like Denmark, Switzerland, and Luxembourg,
Yeah.
all contributing to that overall European picture.
Fascinating how those growth rates vary even within a single continent. It really hints at diverse economic priorities, different consumer trends shaping things.
Absolutely.
Now let's turn our attention across the Atlantic to North America. What's the story there? Especially with the U.S. being such a dominant economic force.
Right. North America's packaging market, it was around $222 billion back in 2021,
Okay.
and it's projected to grow to over $330 billion by 2033. The CAGR there is about 3.4%, solid, but again, lower than APAC.
Lower than Europe, too, slightly.
Slightly, yeah. As you'd expect, the United States is by far the largest player. It's growing from roughly $180 billion to over $267 billion by 2033. Its CAGR is around 3.3%.
Okay, the lion's share.
Definitely. But what's interesting is that while the U.S. is massive, Canada is actually poised for stronger percentage growth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, moving from around $24 billion to nearly $39 billion. That's a CAGR of over 4.1%.
It's a faster growth rate than the U.S.
Exactly. It suggests maybe a burgeoning market opportunity there, perhaps warranting more targeted focus than sometimes assumed relative to the giant U.S. market next door.
That's great insight. And Mexico.
Mexico's packaging market is also expanding steadily, around $18 billion in 2021, projected to hit nearly $28 billion by 2033. That's about a 3.6% CAGR, reflecting its growing manufacturing base and consumer market.
Okay, good context on North America. Let's head south from there and look at South America. You mentioned it's another region showing significant growth potential. What's driving the momentum down there?
Indeed. South America's packaging market, while starting from a smaller base, around $46 billion in 2021,
Small base, yeah.
it's projected to increase significantly to over $80 billion by 2033. That's a robust CAGR of almost 4.6%.
So faster growth than North America and Europe, closer to APAC's rate.
Pretty close, yeah. This is a region really starting to see the benefits of increased e-commerce adoption and a rising middle class boosting demand.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Key drivers.
Brazil is the region's largest market, going from about $18 billion to nearly $31 billion. But it's Argentina that really boasts an even higher CAGR, over 5%.
Over 5%.
Yeah, 5.06%. It's set to more than double its market, from just over $9 billion to nearly $17 billion. That kind of rapid acceleration, it really points to significant shifts happening in consumer goods distribution, increasing demand for modern packaging solutions there.
That really stands out.
It does. And Chile is also experiencing strong, steady growth, over 4.8% CAGR. Plus, we see Colombia and Peru contributing consistently to that regional expansion as well.
Okay. And finally, let's explore the Middle East and Africa. They often get grouped together. But do their packaging market stories align, or are there distinct trends emerging in each?
That's a good question. They do have distinct characteristics. The Middle East's packaging market started at nearly $29 billion in 2021.
Okay.
It's projected to rise to over $49 billion by 2033. That's backed by a strong 4.5% CGR, similar to South America's rate.
Right. What's driving that?
This growth is heavily influenced by, well, rapid urbanization, significant infrastructure development, and a really flourishing e-commerce sector, particularly in the Gulf states.
Now,
The UAE is actually seeing the highest growth in the region, with a CAGR over 5.1%. It's set to nearly double its market from about $5 billion to nearly $9 billion.
another one doubling.
Yeah. Saudi Arabia and Turkey are also leading markets there, with Turkey reaching over $8 billion by 2033. And we see Qatar and Egypt on a steady upward trajectory, too.
Okay, so strong growth in the Middle East. What about Africa?
Africa's overall packaging market started at around $24 billion in 2021, a bit smaller than the Middle East.
Right.
It's projected to expand to over $40 billion by 2033. That's growing at a steady 3.6% CAGR, so a bit slower than the Middle East, but still consistent growth.
And key countries there.
South Africa is a significant market. It's climbing from about $9.7 billion to over $17 billion by 2033, with a solid 4.1% CAGR. Nigeria is also noted as another substantial contributor. It really reflects that increasing demand for packaged goods across the continent as economies develop and urbanize.
So what does this all mean for the bigger picture? We've looked at all these impressive numbers, these varying growth rates across continents, across countries. Beyond just the sheer volume increases, what are the fundamental forces that are truly driving this global expansion in packaging? What can we expect to see more of as we head towards 2033?
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really boils down to, I'd say, three overarching forces that are reshaping the entire packaging landscape.
Okay.
First, and maybe the most impactful right now, is the just unstoppable rise of e-commerce.
Right, we see it everywhere.
Exactly. More online shopping simply means an exponential increase in the need for packaging. Packaging that can protect goods in transit, packaging that allows for efficient delivery, and often packaging that differentiates a brand right at your doorstep.
That first touch point.
Precisely. Second, there's the powerful and growing consumer demand for sustainability. People are increasingly aware of environmental impact. They want and sometimes demand eco-friendly packaging solutions.
Absolutely.
And this pushes innovation across the board in materials, recyclability, reusability. It's a huge driver.
Okay, so e-commerce, sustainability. What's the third?
The third is that product differentiation through branding remains absolutely crucial. In such a crowded marketplace, packaging is often the very first physical touchpoint a consumer has with a product. It tells a story, it conveys quality, it helps a product stand out on a physical or even a digital shelf.
Got it.
And these factors, they aren't just generic trends, they're creating specific opportunities and challenges. They contribute directly to those varied growth rates we just talked about across regions. You see mature markets innovating with smart or sustainable packaging, while emerging markets are experiencing rapid development, maybe driven more by sheer volume increases from rising consumption.
So it's different pressures and opportunities depending where you look.
Exactly. It's truly an exciting and transformative space to watch through 2033.
It certainly sounds like it. So putting it all together, the key takeaway here seems to be that the packaging industry isn't just growing, it's continuously evolving. It's expanding globally, sure, but it's driven by this blend of raw economic growth, these fundamental shifts in how we all shop now, and this critical pivot towards more responsible, more innovative solutions.
Well summarized.
It's clearly a dynamic market full of opportunities across all these diverse geographies and impacting everything from, the consumer goods you buy to complex industrial supply chains. Thank you for diving deep into all this data with us.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating area. And, as you consider all this data and these underlying trends we discussed, here's maybe something to ponder. Given that strong, sometimes competing push for both sustainability and the concurrent explosive growth of e-commerce, what innovative packaging solutions do you think will truly define the next decade? How do we find that sweet spot between rapid, efficient delivery and genuine ecological responsibility?
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into a topic that's probably way more significant than you first think. The global packaging market.
Yeah.
Yeah, forget just keeping products safe. Packaging. It's now this huge player in brand storytelling, sustainability, even your daily convenience in some really surprising ways. Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. We want to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from the sources about what's driving this market, the challenges it's facing, and some really exciting future trends that are shaping this absolutely essential industry, one that maybe gets underestimated sometimes. Here's where it gets really interesting. Maybe counterintuitively, the packaging market's actually booming. There are some really powerful forces pushing its growth. So first up, you've got the e-commerce and online retail explosion. I mean, online shopping is basically second nature now, right? Worldwide.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
But that means the need for packaging that's durable, secure, and importantly, aligned with the brand. Well, it's at an all-time high.
Yeah.
It has to protect things in transit, obviously. But there's this other side, the logistics bit, that's less talked about.
Right.
Do you know something like 30% of online buys get returned? That makes reverse logistics, getting stuff back, and packaging's role in that a massive multi-billion-dollar headache. It's crucial, but kind of hidden.
That's a huge point. And then there's the whole unboxing experience everyone talks about.
Ah, yes, the unboxing. It's definitely a big deal now for brand loyalty. But is it really as impactful as, all the hype? Or are brands maybe putting too much money into something that might just be a fleeting trend? What do you think?
That's a fair question. There's definitely marketing buzz around it. But what brands are really trying to do, I think, is turn that simple delivery moment into something memorable. An event, almost.
An event, okay.
Yeah, it builds an emotional connection, reinforces who the brand is, and crucially, creates something people might share, on social media. That very first physical interaction you have with the product through its packaging, it just sets a critical tone. It shapes how you perceive everything that follows, way beyond just that initial purchase.
Interesting. And beyond just online shopping, there's this more fundamental shift happening in our day-to-day lives, isn't there? Our lifestyles are just busier,
Absolutely. Always on the go.
which has led to this growing demand for like grab-and-go options, single-serve packs, resealable containers. You see it everywhere, especially food, drinks, personal care. So how has this relentless pace really changed how we consume, and what has that meant for packaging innovation?
Well, what's fascinating here is how packaging innovations are really zeroing in on usability, safety, and mobility. Think about how much easier it is now to grab a yogurt for the commute, right? Or travel-sized toiletries with seals that actually don't leak in these compact forms.
Hmm.
It's all about adapting to us. The consumer is constantly moving.
Right. Seamless integration.
Exactly. And for brands, it's not just about convenience, it's about market share. It's about fitting into that dynamic routine, making their products feel essential for how we live now.
And of course, we can't ignore the massive expansion of the food and beverage industry itself
Oh, definitely not.
with, accelerating urbanization, rising global population. The need for safe, hygienic packaging is just more critical than ever. The growth in processed foods, frozen foods, for example, that's pushing companies to invest heavily in packaging that does more, extends shelf life, meets tough regulations, and yeah, still has to look good on the shelf.
Mm-hmm. Aesthetics count.
So what does this all mean for global food supply chains, for consumer access, especially maybe in developing regions?
It means packaging is this sort of silent but absolutely critical enabler. It really is. I mean, think about distributing something like dairy products over huge distances to cities. Without specialized aseptic packaging, that just wouldn't work at scale. You'd have incredible waste, limited access.
Right. Hadn't thought of it quite like that.
So yeah, it directly impacts food availability, slashes waste, protects public health. It's really foundational to our modern food systems.
Okay, but it's not all, smooth sailing.
Yeah.
There are definitely some significant hurdles, headwinds holding back the market's full potential.
For sure.
One really big one is the increase in environmental regulations and just general sustainability pressure.
Ah,
Governments everywhere are tightening up rules on plastic use, waste,
yes, that pressure is immense.
which puts huge pressure on manufacturers to adapt. But beyond just ticking compliance boxes,
Yeah.
what does that actually mean for how companies operate day to day?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's really part of this global shift towards a more circular economy. It's
Mhm.
not just about being green anymore. It's becoming a core strategic thing. We're actually seeing companies redesign products now, right from the start, to fit new packaging types instead of just trying to wrap the old product in something new.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Like some personal care brands developing solid concentrates, shampoo bars, toothpaste tablets to get rid of liquid packaging altogether. That's a huge shift. It takes hefty R&D investment,
Oh, yeah.
It forces whole industries to rethink their entire life cycle, from sourcing materials right through to what happens after use, really aligning with those big global sustainability goals.
Got it. Another big hurdle you hear about is the volatility in raw material prices.
Oh, definitely.
The market relies so heavily on things like plastic, paper, aluminum, and those prices can swing wildly based on market fluctuations, supply chain chaos, energy costs.
It can wreak havoc, especially on profit margins.
Right, particularly for those smaller or mid-sized businesses, maybe without the clout for long-term supplier deals.
Yeah.
That volatility must create just huge instability, unpredictability.
Okay.
But apart from the hit to profits, what's maybe a less obvious or longer-term impact you've seen from this?
It makes long-term planning incredibly difficult. I mean, really hard. And it's not just about the price going up. Sometimes it's the sheer unavailability of the material you need. Ah.
Which can force companies into compromises they really don't want to make, maybe impacting quality or consistency or even delaying a product launch altogether. It just drives this constant scramble for alternatives, which, has its own costs and risks.
And then finally, there's this really complex global issue: recycling and waste management infrastructure.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
In so many places, the systems are just inadequate. And those multi-layered packaging materials, the ones that are great for convenience or keeping food fresh, they can be incredibly difficult to actually process effectively.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Makes you wonder sometimes if sorting your recycling diligently even makes a difference.
This raises an important question. How does that reality, the lack of infrastructure, kind of undermine all the effort going into sustainable packaging?
It makes it really challenging for brands and for us as consumers to fully commit to those eco-friendly options, doesn't it? If the system can't actually handle the sustainable materials properly, or if complex stuff just ends up in landfill anyway, well, then the consumer's effort to choose green and the brand's big investment in developing it can feel a bit futile. It creates this major disconnect in the whole sustainability loop.
Yeah, that's frustrating. But okay, let's shift gears. Let's talk about the exciting stuff, the emerging trends shaping the future of packaging.
Good idea. There's lots happening.
One trend that really stands out is this move towards intelligent or interconnected packaging. We're talking packaging getting smarter.
Right, with things like QR codes,
Yeah,
RFID tags, those tiny chips using radio waves.
exactly. They offer benefits like traceability, product authentication,
Yeah.
even creating these engaging experiences for consumers and for brands. Better inventory control, much richer consumer insights. How do you see this smart packaging really evolving for us, the consumers? Beyond just tracking, what's the next big leap for how we might interact with products through their packaging?
I think a truly intriguing part is how it shifts packaging from just being a passive box or wrapper into an active information source, a hub almost.
Okay, like how?
Well, imagine scanning, say, a frozen meal and instantly getting cooking instructions tailored exactly to your microwave model. Or maybe a skincare product giving you real-time updates on its ingredient effectiveness based on, I don't know, the current weather or pollution levels.
Whoa, that's pretty futuristic.
The next leap is really seamless, personalized interaction after you've bought it, even maybe proactive alerts. It turns the package into this dynamic, direct line between the brand and you.
Very cool. We're also definitely seeing a huge expansion in sustainable and eco-conscious solutions. It feels like it's moving beyond just compliance now.
It absolutely is.
Companies are really embracing recyclable, compostable, plant-based materials as part of their actual environmental responsibility.
And what's fascinating here is it reflects a genuine shift, both in corporate values and, importantly, in consumer demand. With ESG goals, environmental, social, governance becoming so mainstream for investors and shoppers, packaging made from things like recycled paperboard or molded fiber, it's gaining serious traction.
Right, it's not niche anymore.
No, it's becoming core business strategy. Some brands are even using it as a primary way to stand out, to differentiate themselves.
And finally, there's this really interesting rise in tailored, customized packaging experiences.
Yes, personalization.
Digital printing tech now lets brands create personalized designs, even for smaller batches. Think seeing your name on a soda bottle, or maybe a local craft beer, with artwork specific to your region.
Or those personalized cereal boxes.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen those too. It's really popular in cosmetics, gifting premium foods, and you can see why, right? It helps build a stronger connection with consumers, helps brands stand out in what is just an incredibly crowded marketplace.
Definitely cuts through the noise.
So, as we sort of wrap up this deep dive, the core takeaway seems pretty clear. The future of packaging, it lies right at this dynamic intersection of convenience, sustainability, and personalization.
Well put.
And innovation isn't just, a nice to have. It's the undeniable driving force behind all these shifts. It's pushing the boundaries of what a simple container can actually do. Which leads to a final thought for you, the listener. Given how deeply packaging influences everything from your brand loyalty to the environmental impact, even just your daily convenience, how might your next unboxing experience or maybe your next grocery trip change as these trends pick up speed? And maybe more importantly, what role do you play in shaping that future with the choices you make?